Good evening. I watched episode 1. I was like, Oh. I watched episode 2. I was like, Here are my thoughts on Euphoria, even though nobody asked for them. I'm going to give it anyway. First of all, the music. Oh, I miss Labyrinth so much. What did you do to him? What did you actually do to him? He doesn't bother anyone. Even to see his Instagram post when he was talking about, well, not rant, his paragraph on Instagram, that was out of character because you don't hear from this man. I've really loved his music ever since he was working with Tiny Temper.
I want to bring out my homeboy, Tiny Temper. Where you at?
Like, I've loved his career. So he's so talented. I'm proud that he's from the UK. You know, UK stand up.
What's your name, please?
Mister.
The music in season 1 and season 2 was so great. They just elevated all of the scenes. Even the scenes now, even though Euphoria has gotten off to a interesting start, there's still been scenes that have been so beautiful, magical. Like the scene where Rue's calling her people and no one's picking up and she's by herself in front of the gas station and the lights go down. That was so beautiful. And you know what, it needed that The scene where Angel goes to the rehab with Rue after saying that something like a lot of people go missing in LA, there's an evil magnet under LA, and then she goes into that dingy rehab that didn't look like a rehab with that lady who just didn't give a heck about anything. We needed Labyrinth's music because we're not going to see her again. I wouldn't believe that someone like Alamo would pay for one of his strippers, someone who's losing him money. He's then going to go and pay more money to get them better. The first time seeing Rue, why are you in the middle of the desert in a car being push-started by some Mexicans? What's going on? When I saw that, I said, here she goes again with the bullshit. Here she goes, always some shit. I really wanted to see her in rehab or something, but I said, Rue's just gonna be Rue. She really can't catch a break. And Lori pulling up, I think that's her name, that soft-spoken drug dealer lady. Lori pulling up and saying, Rue, you owe me money. Scarier words have not been uttered before. I like her character and I like how soft-spoken she is. I like that she has a bunch of men working for her. She's also kind of annoying. Like, leave Rue alone. Let her get on with her life. Okay, she owes you 100 a lot, but just let her be. Leave her alone. Finding out Rue is a drug mule, I think that's better than what season 2 was hinting at, because I remember that, again, that soft-spoken lady, she said something like,
it's one of the good parts of being a woman. Even if you don't have money, you've still got something people want.
Basically hinting that she might be put into prostitution or some kind of like sex trafficking thing. Like Rue might end up doing something strange for some change. I would not want to see that. So I think, honestly, being a drug mule, she's qualified. And you might be wondering, why is Zendaya being paid $1 million per episode? If you want me to do that on camera, you better pay me $1 million, because that was so crazy. And I feel like being a drug mule, having to swallow like balls of cocaine with lube and then having to shit it out, like, that is actually funny. It's almost funny, and I feel like there was a way to do it where it was kind of humorous, but I forgot the show creator's name, but he just made it the most perverted, like, sexual thing ever, and that's why she got paid the freaking $1 million, because there just ain't no way. Faye with all the stuff that was going on, that was a lot. Anything for shock value. One of my favorite characters is Faye. I don't know why, but she just seems so like
jelly all over us.
Like, just so
freezing cold and
spacey and out of it. She's so funny to me. A black man being more offended that he's called a pig than a nigger. I don't like when things happen in TV shows or movies and I can say, this person wrote this, a white man wrote this, a woman wrote this. I think it's more of a good thing if you can't tell who's in the writer's room. And I feel like when I did watch the first episode, it gave me a Quentin Tarantino, like, Western kind of vibe. It felt like the characters could be in Pulp Fiction or something. I don't know what I can't really articulate it, but it just reminded me of Tarantino. And one thing Quentin Tarantino is famous for is just dropping the N-word.
Nigga this, nigga that, nigga please, bitch nigga, have you lost your mind?
Relentlessly. Like, saying it once to make a point, fine, fair enough. Even saying it twice to make a point, fair enough. But Tarantino just drops the N-word. He drops it like, if he doesn't do it, he'll die. Like someone told him, if you don't use the N-word, you're going to die. He just keeps dropping it. Bam, 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 bam. And the creator of Euphoria just took a page out of his book, hard ER, randomly, out of nowhere. And then the man that you called is more offended that he's being called a pig. Be for real. They do this to downplay how awful the N-word is and how hurtful it is. They do this to downplay the blow of how disgusting that, like, calling someone that is, how disgusting, how much of a slur it is. Like, even though when I say we, I mean people of other races use it so colloquially and so normally, but it is actually a slur. He could have called you anything under the sun. He could have called him you big back donkey, you hybrid rat, you unfathomable pig. So many insults, but they went with nigger. And I think they said nigger again in the show, but I don't have the evidence. I can separate Zendaya from Rue. In this season, I can separate. In the first 2 seasons, I had a hard time separating Zendaya from Rue, but I think Zendaya is doing a really good job in embodying Rue this season. Like, I don't see Zendaya in that role. She's actually disappeared into that role, and I think it's so good. However, Cassie and Sydney Sweeney, I mean, who's playing who? I don't know where to begin with Cassie. I feel like Cassie and Nate have received lobotomies. Cassie, I won't say Cassie was a smart character, but she wasn't as dumb as she is now. I don't know, maybe being in the suburbs has reduced her brain capacity and cognitive ability. Not that it was so strong in the beginning, but she just seems very slow. People online are saying that this is a humiliation ritual for Sydney Sweeney. And it could be. It might be. But if it was any other actress that was playing this role and they had her in the doggy costume, the American flag costume, and what else was she wearing? I think there was a maid costume or something, and the baby costume, I would say, what did they have on you that they forced you to do this role? What did they have on you? Let's get you out of this. With Sydney Sweeney, it might have even been her idea. She might have wrote it herself. Even though things might have shock value, it is there to emphasize the point. I recently watched Beef, and in one of the scenes, a girl reached into her and drew out her period blood and dipped it into orange juice. That's just to show that she's lost the freaking plot. Fine, fair enough. But it's dressing her up as a baby, I don't think it's there to prove a point. I think you were leaning into some viewers, should I even say fetish? It was just done purely for the wrong reasons, which is half of what this show has been. Even the sex scene, there was one sex scene that I felt was quite unnecessary, which was Faye's scene with that Nazi. And I think Faye is such a funny character. They should have her doing more. I feel like she's such a waste of a character because she's so, like, spacey. And I hope in the next coming episodes they give her something more fun to do. Her shitting herself as well, and the dog licking it off. Does that need to happen?
No.
I don't know who are you making Euphoria for? Who are you making it for? Back to Sydney Sweeney. The shock of my life when I found out she was doing this for 3K followers on Instagram. I had 3K followers when I was 10 years old. This whole time, I thought she was already an influencer and she had like 50K followers, you know, those stay-at-home wives, stay-at-home girlfriends, and they just make content about their lives and they just show like how lovely they're living. I thought that's what she was on, and with those followers, she thought, okay, let me capitalize, let me get on OnlyFans. You're doing this for 3K. That's just people you went to high school with. Saying 3K is diabolical. And I'm sorry. Okay, you have 3K. You want to do OnlyFans, but you jumped the gun. You didn't even ease into it. You went into the most extreme stuff. Like you're dressed up as a baby, dressed up as a doggy. How much is a doggy in the window?
Savannah, slow down.
It's so bad that Nate was right. Nate ate you up. Nate. Nate, who I'm coming for him, don't worry, I'm gonna get to him. But Nate ate you up, of all people. Ugh. Anyway, Maddy, I feel like Maddy is the only one that's been in character since the first episode. Her flying, going off to LA, being her own boss, I believe in capitalism, that is so Maddy. Her being an agent and a manager, that just makes so much sense. She's actually very smart. Maddy kind of reminds me of Regina George, just in the sense that Regina George and Maddy, they don't seem, you know how some people peak in high school? That's not Regina George or Maddy. They're so like far removed from it. They don't think about people from the past. They don't live in the past anymore. You know, Cassie thinks she's won. She has something up on Maddy, like, because Cassie's a bird, she thinks she's won because she's got Nate, the house and the wedding. But you know, you're doing OnlyFans, Nate's in debt. She hasn't won anything. To me, Maddy is the real winner. She has her own career and is relatively successful. She makes her own money, and she's proven she can actually even do this on her own. She can manage someone to the point that they get 1 million followers and they make 700k in a month. I thought it was a year. It was 700k in a month, and I did the maths. Unfortunately for Maddy, typically managers take like 10 to 20%. If we assume that she's taken 10%, then that means she would have made $840,000 before tax. Yeah, before tax. So after tax, I don't know what it would be, but she would have almost $1 million. Almost $1 million. That would have been enough to help out her mum and kick off. She could have started her own agency. So, and that's an L, and that's really unfortunate for my girl Maddy. You know, I'm very parasocial with her. It just proves that she's capable of doing it, and it's so early in her career. Don't worry, she's gonna get it together. She's gonna get it together. Unfortunately, it might be with Cassie. She might help Cassie, and I don't want to see Cassie win. But if Maddy wins because Cassie wins, then I accept it, because I'm very parasocial about my girl Maddy. I really love my girl Maddy. I forgot his name. I think it's Aloe Vera. Aloe, he's the spookiest character. So first of all, he's a pimp. Rue needs to, what did Justin Bieber say?
You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you.
It needs to start clocking to her. You basically work for the devil. You went from the devil, the white devil, to the black devil. They're both devils. Season, he's gonna get Rue into some dark shit. He has this dark aura, and I know Rue and him were bonding over being freaky frogs, which is lovely. I like that Rue's making connections and stuff, but I think Aloe might be the worst thing that's gonna happen to Rue. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with his character. One thing I will say, I do like that even though they do a lot of things for shock value, I'm glad that they're showing the harsh realities of taking drugs, because they really could spend a lot of time glorifying drugs and making it seem like, you know, it's cool and it's a young cool thing to do. But anyone who's had real life experience with drugs will tell you, especially if they've seen someone go through it, that it's such an ugly and horrible thing, and people who are young and full of life and beautiful can die or have their lives completely ruined, like it's irreversibly ruined because of drug taking. I think it's a really good thing that the show doesn't glorify it, and they show the realities of it. Like you can be clean for so long and you can relapse. You can pretend to be clean all the while you're still taking drugs, and everyone around you won't even know. But one thing, I didn't know that fentanyl could like that. I thought you had to mix a lot of fentanyl. To know that like it only takes a little bit of fentanyl, that's so scary. So thank you for educating me, Euphoria. When I make my next batch, I'll be sure to clean the tray. Nate's dad. I think the actor's name is Eric Dane. Rest in peace. I think the show made accommodations for him, and I'm so glad that they didn't just write him out. He's still been able to deliver a great performance, and I'm so glad to see him, because him and Faye, I know like the main cast, Maddy, Rue, Jules, all of them, Nate's dad and Faye, they're so funny to me, because Nate's dad's monologue, it lives rent free in my head. The porn on your computer is disgusting.
The porn on your fucking computer made my jaw drop.
Like, he really came home and he said, fuck this family. His crash out, is this crash out valid? Can I say that? I don't know if his crash out is valid. Like, he was so bad in season 2 that I felt bad for Nate. Season 2 Nate. And him still not being able to admit he's gay and saying that he's, what did he say? Like, do you know what it reminded me of? Like, I don't do the bending. I bend. Whatever that happened in that Tyler Perry movie.
Oh, so you doing the bending? Is that what it is?
He still can't admit that he's gay. Still. And then back to Nate. I don't know if it's Jacob Elordi or he doesn't give a fuck. And you know what? Fair enough. Because given everything, I think Euphoria is about to be on some bullshit. I'm don't worry, I'll be here for every episode and I am actually entertained. Even when he was delivering the lines, it just felt like he woke up from a nap, he delivered the lines and he went back to sleep. But Nate's character, is he on sertraline? Zoloft? Xanax? What did you give him? Did you lobotomize him? Is he on CBD? What did you do to him? Because this isn't Nate, the man who... Technical difficulties. The man who beat that other man to a pulp. The man who strangled Maddy. The man who blackmailed Jules. That man. What did you give him? Can I have some? I don't know what happened to his character, but this is not the Nate Jacobs I grew up on. Jules, nice to see you. I like Jules. I won't pretend. In season 1 and season 2, I didn't find her interesting, but I like seeing her. I missed her in episode 1 because the whole time I was thinking, where is Jules? Because wasn't she important? Wasn't she relevant to the story? But seeing her in her baddie apartment with the baddie wig and the baddie kimono.
I was deciding to give away a baddie chain.
Hell yeah, she is a sugar baby. Escort, woman of the night, midnight butterfly, hooker. I don't love that for her. For a crackhead, it's kind of hard to give anyone advice. Rue, I don't think she had a point. She was being judgmental, but I think she's looking at her friend like, I think you're better than being someone's sugar baby. I think Rue was doing it from a place of love. But it's nice to see Jules. One thing that pissed me off, obviously Nate has to scam his neighbors or something. Like he's trying to get money from them to pay the mafia guy he owes or something. Wait. The maid is so funny. The way Nate interacts with the maid is kind of pissing me off. Cassie talking in front of those 2 guests about the flowers and basically showing them that Nate can't afford the flowers. What the hell are you doing? You're ruining the bag. Like, Nate was this close to securing the bag. I understand, they just completely made Cassie so dumb this season. Completely dumb. I'm surprised Rue told Angel the truth. I know Rue isn't a bad person. She's a crackhead, but that doesn't make her a bad person. I'm surprised she told Angel the truth just because, like, no good is gonna come out of it. My boss knows that my best friend has been killed and they didn't tell me. And now my boss knows that I know. And he's also this secretive, dangerous guy who's well-connected. Even though she had good intentions, it was just never going to end well. We're never going to see Angel again. She was a funny character though. I say all that to say, I have a lot of grievances with Euphoria. But will I be back next week? Yes. And I want to see what they're going to do with everything else. So, yeah, I'll be back with my thoughts, maybe in order next time.